Here we go.
Hey guys, what's up? It's PkmariO, and normally I don't like to make videos about comments or videos, other people's videos, but sometimes, something just comes up and it's so ridiculous that I can't help it. Sometimes I just have to. And today's comment is absolutely no exception. So, a couple of weeks back, Blame It On George came out with this video called 10 Incredibly Lame 90s Mascots That Time Tried to Forget, June 9th, 2018, and I left a comment on this video. It was a joke, but I was saying, still better than those DeviantArt Sonic OCs. In case you didn't know, DeviantArt Sonic OCs are pretty terrible, a lot of them. Now, I'm not going to show you any of them because I simply don't want to. You can look them up yourself, or you can even find videos on the internet of other people reacting to Sonic OCs. But it was mainly just a joke. I don't actually really mean it. Some of these mascots that were mentioned in the video were pretty terrible. I was just saying it because memes, lol. But of course, whenever you make a joke like this, there's always going to be that one person that gets offended and says, "Hey, stop it." So one guy says, maybe half of them. Because, yeah, perhaps there could be some good OCs out there. Personally, I think the ones that aren't attached to any other property but are perhaps inspired by something. For example, if you're on Earthbound Amino, then you most likely know about this one Earthbound-inspired project that I have called Rigs. And while it doesn't have any sort of attachment to Earthbound story-wise, it does have a similar art style. It has the rolling HP mechanic, and it might make a few references to Earthbound, but that's about it. So yeah, this one person says, maybe half of them. Which, okay, I'm willing to accept that perhaps there are some good Sonic OCs out there, perhaps not. But then this one other person whose name I'm not even gonna bother to pronounce says, they're not really, stop making fun of easy targets, you coward. So yes, making Sonic OC jokes is a fairly low-hanging fruit, but well, I just felt as though it was appropriate given the context of this video. And once again, it is just a joke. And humor is subjective, so what I might find funny is something that somebody else might not find funny. And some jokes are offensive. They are meant to come at the expense of someone else. But sometimes, you just gotta learn to laugh at yourself a bit. And then he brings up a fairly good point. I guess. Not a great one, but a fairly good point. At least OCs are made by young and or inexperienced people and aren't made for profit. These mascots were made by a team of professionals who were paid for it. Which, okay, yes, I get that. That is a pretty good point. But here's the thing. These kids, but here's the thing. If these kids just decided to if they just decided to share their Sonic OCs to their parents, show it around to a few friends, yeah, I could see that. Everyone has to start somewhere. I even started off with, one of my first ideas was actually a blatant rip-off of Captain Underpants, but now I'm coming up with my own original ideas. But here's the thing, I did not put my OCs on the internet. These kids did, and the internet is a public place. So whenever you put any art into any public place, you are essentially putting it out there for people to criticize you. And if it's not really good art, then people are most likely not going to have very positive criticism. Which, I mean, if you don't want the negative criticism, then why put your Sonic OC out there for everyone to see? And it isn't even just Sonic OCs, it's just a lot of OCs in general. Because a lot of them are just characters that already exist with a color swap and maybe a slight name change. Like there could be a red Sonic the Hedgehog that has the name Theodore the Third. Don't be surprised if that actually exists, though. So I said, wow, I didn't know that joking about something makes me a coward. Apologies, moral superior. That was more so, again, just a joke, because this guy is essentially saying that I shouldn't be making this joke because there's kids that are inexperienced. But you know what? If you put it out there on the internet, then you're basically asking for criticism. And then he says, your joke isn't funny. And it's not even original. Get a real sense of humor instead of repeating what other edgelords have said in the past. Okay, I've got a couple of things that I want to say about this. First off, unfortunately, the internet is not about originality. A lot of the stuff that gets views is people playing video games, people reacting to stuff, people talking about stuff, people making cartoons that parody video games, people making comedy skits that parody video games. And anything original on the internet gets practically no views unless you're a video game developer who's announcing something at E3. So yes, for one, originality is not the way to get popular on the internet, unfortunately. And secondly, who cares if other people have made this joke before? I think that it's funny, and I think that it fits the context of this video, so I should be allowed to make it. It's called free speech. And because you don't... And let me ask you something. Because you don't find it funny, that means that I shouldn't be making those kinds of jokes. I know that there's quite a few people who wouldn't find it funny, but guess what? 25 people found it funny. Well, 24, because I tend to like my own comments quite a bit for some reason. But yeah, there are definitely people out there that find it funny. If we were to make jokes based on... If we were to just make jokes so that way everyone could find it funny, then there wouldn't be too many funny jokes out there. So yeah, maybe it isn't to you, but I think it's funny. 25 other people think that it's funny. So then I said, life is too short to be offended by jokes. It's also, and I will get back to that part later, if you don't like what I have to say, just ignore it. Besides, 25 people think that it's funny, so I'm just gonna take their word over yours. To which he says, I don't care how many people thought it was funny. And no, I am not offended. I am just tired of seeing these jokes about cringy Sonic OCs XD being made all the time. It's beating a dead horse at this point. Well, if you don't like jokes constantly being repeated, why are you on the internet? The internet is filled with memes and jokes, and everything just gets spammed over and over again. But why are you on the internet if you're tired of seeing the same jokes over and over again? That's my question to you. And then I said, then just ignore the joke. It's not like you have some obligation to read and respond to it. And you know what? I think that is true. You're not obligated to read every single comment. If you don't like what someone has to say, then you can either challenge them with actual reasoning, or you could either challenge what they have to say with reasoning, or you just ignore it, because otherwise you're probably just gonna start drama, And let's see if anything else has been said. No. Okay then. So, yeah, everyone gets very easily offended in this day and age. Um, And oftentimes, it's not even something that they themselves would be offended by. Like, you see a lot of those SJWs, they get offended by racist jokes when it's not even at their expense. And sometimes the joke isn't even racist because the people whose expense it's at might not even really think that it's offensive. Such as the infamous Do You Know the Way meme from January. A whole bunch of SJWs said that it was offensive and stereotyped Ugandan people, but the guy who made the movie actually loved the meme, despite the fact that the SJWs were saying that it's offensive. Life is way too short to be getting offended on other people's behalves. Because if you just continuously get offended by everything, then you're probably, especially if it's not even directed towards you, then you're probably not going to get too far in life. People are just going to push you around. They're just gonna, they're just gonna say stuff that you find offensive. Um, and you know what? Sometimes you just have to deal with it. Um, And this guy said that he wasn't offended by the joke, so why are you even commenting on it in the first place? Whenever I see a joke that I find has been beat into the ground over and over and over again, I don't say, hey, you need to stop making that joke. I don't find it funny, so you shouldn't be making those kinds of jokes. No, perhaps I'll just roll my eyes a bit, but I'll just move on with my day and ignore it. That's what you could have done, but instead you decided to sit but instead you decided to but instead you decided to start this whole argument of your joke is not funny, you shouldn't be allowed to post it. So here I am making this video. And well, moral of the story here, kiddies, is life is way too short to be getting offended, especially when it isn't offensive towards you. That's all I have to say for now. Bye.